Today, we're diving into a serious topic that's impacting the culinary landscape. We're going to be looking at 15 major restaurant chains that are struggling to stay afloat. These aren't just minor setbacks, we're talking about significant challenges that could determine their future. In fact, some of them are facing the very real possibility of closing down locations, or even disappearing entirely in 2025. And listen, these aren't just random names you've never heard of. These are iconic spots, familiar brands, places you probably grew up with, celebrated birthdays at, or grabbed a quick bite after school. And the harsh reality is that some of these beloved establishments might be gone for good next year. It's a tough pill to swallow. The restaurant industry as a whole is getting crushed by a perfect storm of factors. We're talking about rapidly rising costs of ingredients, labor, and real estate, shifting consumer preferences and changing tastes, with people demanding healthier options and more convenient ways to dine, and of course, fierce competition from both established players and trendy new concepts popping up all the time. We're going to break down exactly why these chains are failing to adapt to the current climate. We'll look at how many stores are closing their doors, and the ripple effect it's having on communities, and ultimately, what it all means for you, the consumer. How will this impact your dining choices and your wallet? Will your go-to spot for unlimited breadsticks or those fluffy Sunday morning pancakes survive this economic storm? Let's find out what's really going on behind the scenes. Here are 15 big restaurant chains that are struggling and potentially falling apart in 2025. First up, Red Lobster, a name synonymous with casual seafood dining for generations of Americans. For decades, it was the go-to spot for family dinners, special occasions, and that craving for Cheddar Bay biscuits. But now, this once dominant seafood giant is in total freefall. The story of its decline is a cautionary tale of changing consumer tastes and ultimately, a misjudged promotion. Their ultimate endless shrimp deal, initially meant to attract customers and boost traffic during slower periods, quickly spiraled out of control and ended up costing them millions. The all-you-can-eat frenzy became unsustainable, with customers taking full advantage and profit margins shrinking with each overflowing plate. The financial strain proved too much to bear. In May 2024, Red Lobster officially filed for bankruptcy, a stunning fall from grace for a brand that once defined seafood dining. As part of the restructuring, the company abruptly closed nearly 100 underperforming locations across the country, leaving many employees jobless and communities without their familiar seafood spot. Adding insult to injury, videos surfaced online of everything being auctioned off to the highest bidder, from kitchen equipment to furniture, and even the iconic lobster tanks that once housed the restaurant's namesake crustaceans. The company now desperately hopes to survive this crisis by selling its assets to lenders and restructuring its debt, a move that could potentially save some locations and jobs. The plan involves streamlining operations and closing even more underperforming stores in an attempt to regain profitability and adapt to the changing restaurant landscape. But despite these efforts, the future remains uncertain for the seafood chain, and its long-term viability is far from guaranteed. One thing is clear: the Red Lobster you remember, the one that held a special place in so many hearts, is likely gone forever, replaced by a leaner, perhaps unrecognizable version. It's a brutal and sobering reminder of how fast even a restaurant titan can collapse under the weight of financial pressures and shifting consumer preferences. Will any Red Lobster locations ultimately survive this tumultuous period? Only time will tell if this iconic brand can navigate these stormy seas and find its way back to calmer waters. Next, Applebee's, once the king of casual dining, now quietly shrinking. They've closed over 300 restaurants in less than a decade, with more closures planned for 2025. Fierce competition and an aging customer base are big problems. Attempts to modernize haven't stopped the decline. The company says it's pruning to focus on profitable spots, but the brand's presence is fading fast. Applebee's is still around, but the neighborhood is getting smaller every year. Remember TGI Fridays? It used to be the ultimate party spot, a vibrant hub where people gathered for good times, great food, and even better company. The atmosphere was electric, the drinks were flowing, and the energy was infectious. It was the place to be for celebrations, casual hangouts, and everything in between. But now, the scene has changed dramatically. TGI Fridays is struggling with a serious identity crisis, caught between its nostalgic past and an uncertain future. The once booming chain is facing challenges it never anticipated. Their once unique flair, the very thing that set them apart, now feels outdated and out of touch with modern tastes. The iconic red and white stripes, the quirky memorabilia, and the overall aesthetic that defined the Fridays experience are no longer resonating with today's diners, and attempts to modernize the brand, to shed its old skin and embrace a more contemporary image, haven't quite worked as planned. The changes feel forced, and lack the authenticity that made Fridays so special in the first place. In early 2024, in a move that shocked many, they closed 36 U.S. locations, a clear sign of the financial pressures the company was facing. This was a significant blow to the brand's reputation, and a stark reminder of the challenges ahead. To further alleviate financial strain, they sold off others to cut losses, a strategic decision aimed at streamlining operations and focusing on core markets. But is it enough to save the brand? The brand is undeniably shrinking, its footprint diminishing as it struggles to stay relevant in an increasingly competitive market. The glory days seem like a distant memory. TGI Fridays is caught in a difficult position, stuck between being too old school for younger generations and not modern enough to compete with the trendy new restaurants popping up everywhere. Fierce competition from other restaurant chains and rapidly changing consumer tastes have left Fridays struggling to keep up. The dining landscape has evolved and Fridays has been slow to adapt. Ultimately, these factors have combined to leave Fridays behind, struggling to recapture its former glory and relevance. The once dominant player is now fighting for survival. The big question is, can they reinvent themselves? Can they recapture the magic that once made them so popular? And can they adapt to the ever-changing demands of the modern dining scene? Or are they destined to become a relic of the past, a nostalgic memory of a bygone era, a reminder of a time when Fridays ruled the casual dining world? The latest closures and financial struggles strongly suggest that the struggle is indeed very real, and the path forward is fraught with challenges. For TGI Fridays, the future is hanging by a thread, and only time will tell if they can pull off a successful comeback or fade into obscurity. Ruby Tuesday, once famous for its garden bar, is now a cautionary tale. Stuck in the 90s, they failed to evolve and lost customers. After multiple bankruptcies and hundreds of closures, only a fraction of locations remain. The brand is barely hanging on, a shadow of its former self. For most, Ruby Tuesday is already just a memory. Boston Market's collapse has been dramatic. Once a family dinner staple, it's now a case study in mismanagement. Unpaid bills, lawsuits, and chaos led to mass closures and bankruptcy in early 2024. At one point, all 300 remaining locations were temporarily closed. The owner talks about a comeback, but with massive debt and a ruined reputation, it's unlikely. Boston Market went from comfort food favorite to cautionary tale almost overnight. The brand's future looks bleak. Will it ever recover? Don't count on it. Hooters' restaurant concept is losing steam in today's world. Changing social attitudes and customer preferences have made their brand feel outdated. They've closed dozens of locations and tried new concepts, but nothing has reversed the decline. Hooters is still profitable, but its shrinking footprint shows the struggle to stay relevant. Can a brand built on an old formula survive in a new era? The odds aren't looking good. Sparrow, once the king of mall food courts, is fading fast. Their business depended on malls, but as malls die, so does Sparrow. 2 bankruptcies later, they're trying to open street-side locations, but competition is fierce. Hundreds of stores have closed as malls empty out. Sparrow's survival depends on reinventing itself outside the food court. So far, it's an uphill battle. The pizza slice under the heat lamp might soon be a thing of the past. Steak and Shake's diner meets fast food model just couldn't keep up. High labor costs and low prices led to massive losses. Hundreds of locations closed as they tried to switch to a franchise and self-serve model. Many stores never reopened and franchisees are struggling. The brand sacrificed its classic diner identity in a desperate bid for survival. Bankruptcy has been avoided, but the damage is done. Steak and Shake is a shell of what it once was. The future? Very uncertain. Subway's overexpansion became its downfall. Too many locations cannibalized each other and the $5 foot-long deal squeezed profits. Franchisees cut corners, quality dropped, and new fast-casual competitors stole customers. Since 2016, thousands of Subways have closed, the biggest downsizing in fast food history. Sold to private equity in 2023, Subway is now remodeling and revamping its menu. But turning around such a massive chain is a huge challenge. Subway is everywhere, but for how much longer? The sandwich giant is fighting to stay relevant. Pizza Hut's iconic dine-in experience is disappearing. As delivery and carryout took over, Pizza Hut was slow to adapt. They've closed hundreds of red-roofed restaurants, shifting to smaller, delivery-focused stores. Even major franchisees filed for bankruptcy and closed more locations. Pizza Hut is still a big name, but its identity has changed completely. The classic dine-in Pizza Hut is nearly extinct. Survival meant tearing down what made them special. Friendly's, once a beloved East Coast diner and ice cream spot, is now a rare sight. Outdated restaurants, slow service, and tough competition led to 2 bankruptcies. From over 800 locations, they're down to just over 100. New owners hope to revive the brand with fast casual ideas and retail ice cream. But the restaurant side is a shell. Friendly's is a reminder that nostalgia can't save a business. The family memories remain, but the restaurants are vanishing. Even the most beloved brands aren't safe. Marie Callender's is now better known for frozen pies than restaurants. Financial struggles and 2 bankruptcies wiped out most locations. The restaurant chain shrank from over 150 to just a handful, mostly in Southern California. The frozen food business thrives, but the dining experience is nearly gone. It's another case of retail success overshadowing a dying restaurant chain. The pie lives on, but the restaurants are almost history. Perkins, once a breakfast favorite, is shrinking fast. 2 bankruptcies and declining traffic led to dozens of closures. New owners are trying to remodel and revive the brand, but challenges remain. Perkins is still around, but it's a much smaller chain than before. The fight to survive in the family dining segment is tough. The future of Perkins is far from secure. IHOP seems strong, but even they're closing underperforming locations. Dozens of stores have quietly shut down as Dine Brands prunes the chain. High rents and shifting populations are forcing tough decisions. IHOP is still opening new spots, but the old ones aren't safe. Even icons have weak spots in today's market. Your local IHOP might not be as secure as you think. Outback Steakhouse, famous for the Bloomin' Onion, is feeling the heat. In early 2024, parent company Bloomin' Brands closed 41 underperforming locations, most of them Outbacks. Declining traffic, rising costs, and tough competition are taking a toll. The closures are meant to strengthen the brand, but they signal deeper issues. Outback is still a big player, but even giants are struggling. The steakhouse landscape is changing fast. Outback's future is one to watch. That's our list. 15 restaurant chains struggling to survive in 2025. It's tough to watch so many icons fade, but the industry is changing fast. Did your favorite make the list? Let us know in the comments. If you learned something new, hit like and subscribe for more. Support your local restaurants while you can. See you in the next one.